We mourn the destruction of the Holy Temple that happened thousands of years ago. Jewish people around the world still mourn this great loss, and every year during the 3 weeks, we mourn, and when it comes the big day of Tisha B'Av, we cry, and we have the great beliefs that very soon we will be Zoiche, we will all see the building of the third temple in Jerusalem very soon. And we honor our President Trump for what he has done for Jerusalem and for the Jewish people. That Jerusalem is a place that has to be secure for Jews, and we should very soon be able to see the building of the third temple living with coming of Mashiach Tzidkenu b'mheira v'yameinu amen. We all have great gratitude to this person. This is a person that doesn't care if only
Where do the Jews fit into all of this and this so-called third temple, and how are they going to fit into it?
Well, they're going to fit in all right. So this is something that way too few people know about. The biggest UFO religion all right, let me back up. The biggest problem is the ET deception in general. In fact, I've got an appendix, a very important appendix in the book. I wanted to keep it in the main part of the book, but I realized I got to decrease it a bit, but I hope people get a chance to read the appendices also. They're not that long. The scholars are pointing out that the ET belief, and this is just secular scholars who are just assessing the trend indifferently, they're basically all agreeing that ET belief is the new world religion. It's not just the members of the ET cults anymore. Those have existed for the last 78 years. But the biggest and fastest growing religion right now is ufology. And it is huge, and it's exploding. Anyway, but back to the question at hand. The biggest explicit UFO religion right now is called Raelism. And it was founded a few decades, I think in the 70s. It's got like 100,000 members right now. They're very rich, very powerful. And their chief nemesis is the Catholic Church. I can't believe that more people don't know about Raelism. But anyway, I got a number of very important quotes about them in this book.
It's going to be a government-adopted religion soon, right?
What's that?
It's going to be the government-adopted religion.
Well, probably, because it's like if you were writing a work of fiction and you wanted to create something that was the religion of the Antichrist, you would describe Raelism. And it's always been above all directed against the Catholic Church. Surprise, surprise, the chief nemesis of the Antichrist. Anyway, Raelism is trying to raise tens of millions of dollars, and they've actually succeeded in raising a huge amount of money to build the third temple in Jerusalem, which is a terrible idea, as all Christians should know. Unfortunately, some evangelicals don't realize this. They think it's a great thing. No, God destroyed
this religion. This cult is trying to build the third temple.
They're trying to build the third temple because it's going to be the alien landing pad. And it's going to be the intergalactic embassy. And this sounds crazy. It is crazy. But this isn't just some random crazy dude. This is a random crazy dude with 100,000 followers and tons of money. So he got these, quote, revelations from aliens in the 1970s. I chart out the genesis of it in the book because it's very important to understand how diabolical this is. They're trying desperately to build the third temple, which will also be the intergalactic embassy for the aliens when they descend, and it has to be right there in Jerusalem. They believe that the Jews are key to this. The Raelians believe that the Jews are actually the descendants of the aliens, who are our real creators. And the Raelians say that this has. Yeah, I mean, everything is diabolical that comes from this group. Now, the group itself is not so much, it's not the biggest risk here. The biggest risk is just the masses in general adopting these same lies. These individual UFO religions are just where the deceit becomes even more explicit than usual. So it's important to look at them for that reason. But But anyway, they say that this has to happen by 2035, and they're doing a pretty good job laying down the groundwork for it. So the Antichrist, if what they're working for is going to happen, then the Antichrist is going to present himself to the Jews especially, but through the Jews to all people, as the real Messiah. And one of the big, like probably the most famous astronomer in the world right now is an ethnic Jew by the name of Dr. Avi Loeb. He's the head of the Galileo Institute, which is dedicated to finding aliens. He's huge celebrity. He's a Harvard professor. Harvard's backing him. Billionaires are backing him. He's dedicated to finding aliens. Why? He says the Messiah is coming on a UFO.
Well, that makes sense, because if the Jewish Messiah, the false Jewish Messiah, comes just for the Jews, he won't have any appeal for other religions. They won't care, like Hindus, Buddhists. They won't care about a Messiah, whether he's, what kind of Messiah he is. But if he's got like a alien, credential of some sort, then the whole world is going to follow him. It's not just going to be the Jews.
Exactly. That's just one of the inroads. It's about the whole world. Now, many Jews will convert. And of course, we know the conversion of the Jews is coming to the faith, but unfortunately, many Jews will also side with the Antichrist because they've been waiting for the Messiah for all these thousands of years. They don't realize he already came 2,000 years ago, and they are primed. A lot of them, I'm not condemning all Jews here, of course, but a lot of them are primed to accept the Antichrist when he comes.
Wow.
And when you look at the scripture that the Jews are the faith is left with, the New Testament is totally gone. So what you end up looking at is, the different things, but basically you're left with the Old Testament.
Well, yeah, and they got rid of a lot of that also, because so much of the Old Testament clearly prophesies Jesus, so they threw out a bunch of that. But then even worse than that, a bunch of corruptions of the Torah. The Torah is the word of God, But a bunch of corruptions of that crept in after Christianity, because Christianity, everyone was supposed to become Christian when Christianity started, but those who didn't, they accepted these Kabbalistic perversions of the Jewish Torah. And this is another chapter I've got in the book. It is really frightening to see how much some of this Kabbalistic paganism that especially arose in the Middle Ages heralds the AI deception.
Exactly. Because that's going to be their foundation, just as our foundation for against the AI and the aliens. The foundation is our Christian religion. Their foundation is going to be tied into this, as you say, sort of,
well, they're just corrupt. You got to be impressed that they managed to wait so long. I mean, I think that's a beautiful testimony, actually, that they're still so faithfully awaiting the Messiah.
Yeah.
But he came 2,000 years ago. So now that they've been waiting an extra 2,000 years, they were already waiting 4,000 years after Genesis for him to come. And then he came, and most of them did become Christians. But there must be a certain contingent of Jews, most Jews today are probably just cultural, but those who really are awaiting the Messiah still, they must be so desperate. And I can't help but sympathize with that, it being so long for them.
Yeah.
They must be just clamoring for the Messiah to come. And for this Dr. Avi Loeb, one of the biggest ufologists today, one of the biggest astronomers in the world, he is almost nobody's calling this out, which is why I'm trying to sound the alarm here while it's still possible to do so. He is so explicitly messianic about his ET promotion. He's constantly saying, they're coming, they're coming, they're coming, they're going to save us. The Messiah is coming on a UFO. And he's like an atheist, but he still believes the Messiah is coming on a UFO as an extraterrestrial. So this is the religion of Antichrist in every way, shape, and form. I probably can't go into much more of it tonight, but I'll just say that we only scratched the surface. I hope that what we were able to get to today is at least somewhat enlightening, but even that only scratches the surface of what I go into in the book.
Can I just ask one more question?
Sure.
This is from the comment below. How are they going to pull in the Muslims, because they're not going to really take to following any Jewish Messiah? Oh,
so the ET, he's not going to present himself as primarily Jewish, I don't think. That's going to be just, I think some of the Jews awaiting the Messiah will be some of the first to sign on to the Antichrist. But the Antichrist is not going to present himself globally as just, a Jewish person, because you're right. The Schuster there has a very good point. The Muslims will want nothing to do with that. That'll just be the inroad. That'll be the first inlet, maybe. Speculative, again. This is, I don't know. But Islam, and this is another thing that too many people don't realize, and which is why I've also got a chapter on this in the book, is that every major non-Christian religion believes in ETs. Christianity is the only religion that rejects it. Islam, the Quran teaches ETs exist. Buddhism teaches ETs exist. Hinduism teaches that ETs exist. All the pagan religions teach that ETs exist. It's only Christianity that rejects this lie. So that's yet another reason why this makes perfect sense as the great deception. Only Christianity is poised to survive this great deception. So Protestants and Christians themselves, obviously, that's why I'm sounding the alarm here, is because so many Christians are deceived on this. But for Islam, it's actually quite explicit in the Quran. In the Quran, God is referred to as the Lord of worlds, time and time again, that there's many worlds that exist. Whereas that's the very thesis that Christianity has always rejected from the start. I go through all the fathers of the church in my book. They all rejected this as a heresy. Anyway, it's not absolutely explicit in Islam. It's pretty, one of the biggest Islamic groups in America today is the Nation of Islam, and they are a UFO cult. They believe UFOs are coming to save. Really? Yeah. That's another section I've got in the book. So anyway, Islam is but Buddhism and Hinduism, the most opposite of Christianity, they are 100% ET religions. They believe all the galaxies are filled with trillions of aliens and all that. Just Christianity doesn't.